It's time once again for the City of Maple Grove Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from CCX Media. Thanks for joining us, along with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
We have a lot to talk about to fit into a half hour, so we'll get right to it. We had a work session on the 21st to talk about, and a longer council meeting, and then a lot happening in the city that we'll get to in just a second. Let's start with the work session that started at 6 p.m. A few items there. The first was a police department update. What was discussed there?
Yeah, so this is kind of an annual process where the police department or the police chief comes in and provides an update just about kind of the work that's going on in the police department, some crime statistics, sort of trends and data and what we're seeing in terms of calls for service, that type of thing. There's a really lovely memo. It's about 16 pages, so lots of good information in there that's out on the website and part of the agenda packet, so I encourage people to go take a look at that. But good information shared with the community there at that update and with the council, and then certainly available for review online.
Very good. Other item at that meeting was Fernbrook Lane and Weaver Lake Road, some designs being talked about.
Yeah, so we're looking at these two road segments, and really Weaver Lake Road from basically Maple Grove Parkway over to 94, and then Fernbrook Lane from County Road 30 up to 610, or to 81, I should say. And so both of them, pretty key segments of roadway in the city, high volume of traffic. Fernbrook has all of the, the school entrances, parking, all those types of things, school facilities. So both of them being rather complicated, high volume segments of roadway. So we are taking this year to really dig in to do some design work, and there's been a number of different types of community engagement that have been done to get feedback from the neighborhood. More to come on both segments of that roadway, but there's information in the packet out there if you want to go take a look. If you have questions, certainly you can give a call or reach out to our engineering staff, but some layouts for the Weaver Lake Road segment, we're not quite at the layout point yet with Fernbrook, but projects both predicted or projected to be constructed in 2026.
Okay.
With the Fernbrook project, we have a lot of investment happening at the high school. They're going to be reconfiguring some of their entrance points with that, expanding parking, that type of a thing. And so we'll be coordinating that with the high school's activities up there. So this was just kind of a good update to the council, what we've learned from community engagement, get some feedback on those early design features so that we can start to take that to the next level. And so you'll see more on these projects as they come through the formal council process, but just good at this point to get some feedback on those designs.
We'll keep you up to date as that moves along. And one item was added to the work session, a little discussion on legislation that could possibly be happening.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of discussion in the community about the sacred settlement legislation, and then the proposed sacred settlement up at Church of the Open Door. We are aware that Representative Robbins has advanced some legislation to tweak that state law that was approved in 2024, add back in some more local control in terms of cities' ability to review an application, potentially rental licensing, that type of a thing. So we had an opportunity to have some brief discussion with the council on that. We're not sure if this is the final draft of the bill, and so the council looked at that, had some brief discussion, and then kind of waiting on whether this is the final legislation that is going to be put forward or not to weigh in on that. But lots of discussion about the sacred settlement issue in the community. I think important to note, we don't have an application in front of us because of how this is prescribed in state law. We won't have an application in front of us based on the current state law, because cities really don't have any authority. This is really something that is prescribed in the new statute that was approved in 2024. Okay. So I think maybe we've kind of become the venue for where sort of discussion can occur because it is a proposal in Maple Grove, and there's been lots of media stories, particularly this week now, following on Tuesday evening's meeting. So little bit more discussion occurred during the open forum. We had quite a bit of testimony, people on either side of the issue, and residents, wanting to be sure that, safety provisions are put in place, and how the sacred settlement would be managed. So more to come on this, I'm sure, but I think just important to note that, the city really doesn't play a role in this today. We don't, as a city, have an application process or a CUP process, conditional use permit, or a rental licensing process. Those things aren't allowed under state law, because there's very little that we can regulate. So no application in front of us at this time, and likely not to be one, barring any change in state law. So that's kind of where we sit today on the issue of the sacred settlement.
That wraps up the work session on the 21st. Now to the council meeting, which was 2 hours and 45 minutes. It began with a oath of office, someone that was missing the last time but wanted to take care of the festivities.
Yeah, so Mike Ostaffi wasn't able to join us at the first meeting in January, but here on January 21st, so Mayor Stephenson did issue the oath of office to Council Member Ostaffi, and his family was there with him. So lovely evening to have that swearing in completed, and now our council is complete.
One item from consent that is noted is the Hindu Society was at the meeting with a very nice donation.
Yeah, so the Hindu Society of Minnesota made a donation in the amount of $10,000 to support the police department's drone program. So that was really a great partnership there with the Hindu Society of Minnesota. So we had some of their current leadership there to be recognized for that support of the police department. A lot of concerns in the Hindu community. They've had some burglary issues, theft issues, not only up at the temple but also in neighborhoods. And so I think a lot of work in collaboration with the police department to address kind of safety in their neighborhoods and safety at the temple. And so I think this is just sort of recognition for that, and providing additional support to the work of the police department.
Very nice. After the consent was the open forum. You mentioned that a little bit earlier. That was about 1 hour of discussion related to the settlements, and again, more about that as we move ahead in future meetings. Then to public hearings, a handful of public hearings. The first related to a business looking for a liquor license and hope to open in March.
Yeah, so this is for K-Pot Korean Barbecue and Hot Pot. This is for an on-sale intoxicating and Sunday sale liquor license, so full liquor license there. This is located just right south of Golden Corral there along Elm Creek Boulevard. I think during the pandemic, maybe there was another little restaurant in that space, kind of a pop-up. So this is a more permanent restaurant that's going to be moving into that space. We did have the owner available that evening, and they talked about they had other operations in the state of Michigan, but they're very excited to get this open, and they looked to the first week of March. So this liquor license did get approved there. I do see they have new signage up on the building. Looks very nice. So we'll be excited to check that out in March.
Second public hearing of the night was the street rehab program for 2025, and this is the assessment hearing. And again, some folks in the audience to talk about this and understand the public hearing was continued. Give us a recap of all of that activity.
Yeah, so public hearing process for our 2025 street rehabilitation program. And our street rehabilitation program is really kind of, it's a very long-term plan, but our program, I should say, but we really kind of take it in 5-year chunks. And so we are out communicating with residents that are within the 5-year program about when we're going to be coming through their neighborhood to reconstruct streets. We have increased our community engagement around this effort. A big neighborhood meeting was held earlier in January 14th, I believe, at the Government Center, where staff was available to answer questions, respond to any concerns. So that's kind of more the informal engagement process, but there's many steps along the way through that 5-year process where information is being provided to residents, and we're interacting out there to just sort of prepare everybody and make sure there's awareness out there about the timing of the reconstruction of their streets. And so this was the formal public hearing. We do assess a portion of that cost. The actual cost of the roadway itself gets kind of split between the city and residents. And so this year, the assessment for a single family home was $7,800. The city does provide financing for that over a 20-year term. And the reason why the public hearing had to be continued is because we updated our bond run and rates have increased a bit. So we had published it with a 5% interest rate and it's going to go to 5.5%. So needed to republish that,
Okay.
Get new notices out to the public, and then we'll continue that hearing on February 18th. We did have a couple of residents testify that evening, concerns about the impact of that assessment, and we certainly appreciate that and understand those concerns, which is why we try to get to folks early to let them know, this is the program in Maple Grove. We cover all the utility improvements that need to be made, water, sewer, that type of thing, storm. Those get paid by the utility funds. That road section is a cost that gets split between the city, and that's paid by the levy, and then an assessment out to homeowners. We've had this program in place for over 25 years, and the council is going to be talking about it a bit over the winter months here to talk about not only our policy on pavement management, but then funding mechanisms. So the cost of projects continues to increase. So we just need to think about, over the long run, is this sustainable and how we're funding this. So 2 of those official objections heard and entered into the record, and then we'll continue this hearing on February 18th. So if somebody missed it on this meeting here in January, this will come back in a month to the City Council to wrap up that public hearing process.
Good. We'll have that for you when that does occur. Next public hearing, number 3, was Osseo School District, talking about the new elementary school, and this centers around the public improvements in that area.
Yeah, so a number of road utility extensions that are going to be required to serve that new Osseo Elementary School up there, kind of in the northwest quadrant, just north of 101st, west of the new Arbor Ridge Parkway alignment there. So this hearing put that process in place, and we'll see that come back when we get bids for that project to move forward for construction this next season.
One more public hearing to talk about that is Arbor Lakes Business Park, a little easement vacation work to take care of.
Yeah, just one little piece left.
Okay.
If you recall, prior to development occurring in the gravel mining area along 694, there used to be kind of an old frontage road there. It was a gravel road.
Right.
That McCrossin pretty much used, and Tiller Corporation, now Martin Marietta, to access the land back there. But with development, there wasn't a need for that frontage road, and so that was vacated and then goes to the property owner there. So one last little piece of right-of-way or frontage road to be vacated there, and then we will start to see that building 9, the last 9 of the Arbor Lakes Business Park by Endeavor coming forward probably this next summer.
Next to community and economic development items, just a couple updates here. Planning Commission for the 27th of January has been canceled, but a few items that they are looking at, and also an event coming up.
Yeah, so we have a lot of development activity. I mentioned the elementary school. In and around the elementary school, we have a lot of residential type development and more to come. Bella Woods is a project being led by Lennar. They have been kind of working in that section just north of 101st and then kind of across from the temple up there. They've now optioned some of the land to the north up there, so we're really going to see quite a bit of that area up in the northwest quadrant go here in the next probably 3 to 5 years or so. So Bella Woods would be coming back to the Planning Commission sometime this spring. We do have the I-94 West Chamber of Commerce State of the City event. That is January 28th. It's at the Rockwoods Event Center up in Otsego. So all of the cities that participate in that chamber up and down the I-94 corridor. So it's a great event, a great gathering, lots of great updates from the cities that are involved there, and so we're looking forward to that next Tuesday over the noon hour.
Let's move ahead to engineering and public works, and a couple longer items here to touch on in the meeting as well on the 21st. The first was proposed changes to the Maple Grove Transit Commission. Give us a little history and what's being talked about.
Yeah, so I think, we've been doing a lot of work around our transit services. We're right now in the process of a study jointly with the City of Plymouth and their transit services. Everybody's seen such a change in ridership and a change in commuter habits post-pandemic. I think our express service downtown certainly has changed. We're running at about a quarter of what we used to prior to the pandemic, and it seems like people have sort of settled into that routine, and so it's likely maybe that will grow a bit, but probably not back to pre-pandemic levels. And so I think it's really a time where we want to take a step back and look at the services that we're offering and think about what that needs to look like in the future. Our local transit service, our MyRide, has been very popular and growing. We've added vehicles, we've added geographic area, service hours, those types of things. And so that's something we really want to think about with Plymouth, and is there an opportunity to work together a little bit more, not only that, even on the express front. So more to come on that study piece, but kind of going in a parallel process with that is sort of, we've had a transit commission for many years that served the city, and it was really focused on that commuter service. So the folks that served there were really folks that rode the bus every day to downtown, and they provided us valuable feedback about, routes and times and all those types of things. So with these changes and sort of the work we're doing around transit, we are opting to change this transit commission into a transit and mobility committee. Okay. So they'll continue to look at those aspects of transit, the commuter and the sort of the local MyRide type service, follow along with that Plymouth study and participate in that. But also the city is now a recipient of some new sales tax that was put in place at the state level that will help us with some active transportation. So some of those dollars are available for trail connections, those types of things. And so this committee can kind of vet those and look at those types of projects and see where those investments might want to be made. So kind of a new challenge or a new scope of work for this group of folks, and broadens it to not just transit riders, but folks that maybe are active walkers or pedestrians or bikers in the community. And then certainly folks that take advantage of the MyRide service or even the commuter service as well. Right. We kind of want to get that broad section of folks that are mobile in the community in a variety of ways. So we'll be out to recruit for that here in the coming months. But yeah, just kind of a lot of legwork going into, the study and then resetting this group, and then thinking about that new sales tax revenue and how we want to structure that within this. So lots of changes there. So some exciting things ahead on the transit front.
We will let you know when that recruitment process starts. Next is approving the 2025-26 building replacement plan, and this is for city structures and city equipment. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this kind of follows on our capital improvement plan work that we do, updating that every year in terms of capital needs for the city. And so a number of projects being authorized here, we kind of look at it in a 2-year section, because a lot of times there's lead work that needs to be done in terms of design or some architectural work, that type of thing. So some key investments here. We are making a concerted effort to get around to all of our fire stations, touch those with some remodeling dollars, some exhaust system work within those fire station roofs, those types of things. I think we've talked about it before, but everything's getting to be 30 plus years old here in Maple Grove. And so when we think about our fire stations, even our government center is 25 years old this year, which seems crazy to me, but park buildings, those types of things. And so you'll start to see some of these projects coming through the council process here as a result of our capital improvement planning, where we are planning for these types of reinvestments, making sure the dollars are there, and then prioritizing what needs to get done every year. So in addition to some fire station work, a little bit of moving things around in the police department, and then just replacing some carpet at the government center. The carpet has worn well for 25 years, but particularly in the chambers, the carpet's getting a little worn in some areas and starting to fall apart. So wanting to make sure we keep up on that and keep things looking well cared for. So you'll see this every year now with our capital improvement plan and these projects coming through as a result of that planning.
Final couple items related to administration, community center renovation and expansion, and this is the continuing talk about the Lions Pavilion. What was discussed?
Yeah, so this was discussed last on December 16th and got tabled to bring back some additional information. The park board in the intervening time there took another look at some design elements based on the council feedback, so those were brought forward, and then the council was able to kind of pick a design that they preferred out of the options that were there, so that got selected, and then determine the funding. So we are going to be using some park dedication fees. The Lions Club, of course, is involved with this. We're grateful for their support and the funding allocated here, and then some project dollars from the community center project. So this one got approved then, and so we'll move on from there, and now kind of the park board will take it from here in terms of finalizing design and getting that ready for construction hopefully this summer.
There's a wrap up on your long meeting from the 21st. We'll tell you about the next council meeting in just a few minutes, but let's hop around town and talk about some other things that are happening. The first is the Arbor Committee. Want to make mention of an opening on that committee.
Yeah, so we do have an opening on our Arbor Committee, and this is a group that's dedicated to the beautification of the city and the preservation of the natural environment. So meetings are monthly, but members are very active in their role. This group also organizes the city's annual Arbor Day celebration, which is they're celebrating their 40th year of that this year. We have one opening on this committee. The term of service is 3 years. Maple Grove residents are encouraged to apply. They can apply online, and that's open through the end of the day on Thursday, January 30th.
Here's an update for you of something that's been going on in the city for some time. It is the water meter project. How are we doing? Where is it today?
Yeah, so we're working on getting all those water meters changed out and updated in residents' homes. You are receiving a letter in your home if your meter is up for getting replaced.
Okay.
The work started back in July and will last about 2 years for us to cycle kind of through all the neighborhoods. So you'll receive a letter to schedule an appointment when the technicians are working in your area. We have received inquiries about whether the letter that people are receiving is legitimate. We are confirming that it is. It's Ferguson Waterworks with RMR Services are handling the work. So you'll see those names on there again, Ferguson Waterworks and RMR Services. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to give a call up to Public Works.
Okay.
We appreciate that people are, verifying is this real or not, with everything that goes on in the world. But yeah, this is legitimate work that our utilities department is doing to get those meters changed out.
Good to know. We talked about transit a little bit in the council meeting. Let's talk about a few transit things going on. The first is a transit focus group. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so this is related to the Maple Grove Plymouth joint study about transit services. We are forming a rider focus group, and so that's for folks that are currently riding those services. The focus group would be held Tuesday, January 28th from 7 to 8 p.m. The meeting is held online, so you don't have to come anywhere. You can just hop on to an online meeting. Nice. Easy to sign up. There's information on the website about that. Right on the front, there should be information about signing up for that focus group for the rider focus group. So good to have people's input there if you are a rider of our transit services. Earlier
you mentioned a little bit about the success of My Ride. Let's talk a little bit about that, and also just remind people, if they haven't used it, how the reservation process works. Yeah, and this is great. You can book it online, you can pay online, you can also still call if you need to utilize that type of services. So we really encourage people to check this out. You can have a standing order available for work or repeat medical trips, that type of thing. So you can use it more like Uber or, kind of like Dial Ride of the past, where you can set that service up in advance and have it repeat. So maplegrovetransit.org, lots of information there. Encourage people to check it out. Events coming up in the city. You're going to want to mark this one down. The Wonders of Winter. We've been promoting that. It's coming up pretty quickly here. Tell us the date and some of the fun that goes on. Yeah, so Saturday, February 1st from 1 to 4. This is over at Central Park, of course. So we have snowshoeing and kick sledding. Again, hope we get some snow. But even if there is no snow, we will always, we have the ice skating loop open, petting the llamas, a scavenger hunt, ice carvers, the horse and wagon rides. Our Lions Club here in Maple Grove supports that. Arts activities, fire pits and s'mores. So just a great family day out during the winter months. We'll tell you about something else happening on the 1st in just a second here, but let's talk a little more about Central Park and something that's coming that people might be interested in. A sauna is coming to the park. Yeah, sauna at Central Park. These are a wood-fired type stove
stove heated sauna. There will also be an outdoor bonfire located near there. So this unique experience is by reservation only and offers public and private sessions. Reservations are available February 4th to the 10th, so just that little 7-day period there.
Okay.
Information available on the city website or the Parks and Recreation Facebook page about how to sign up.
Very neat. New opportunity in town. There are ongoing opportunities to warm up and get some exercise indoors. Tell us about a couple of favorite spots.
Yeah, of course, we have the indoor pickleball at the community center and the middle school gymnasium. So day passes or pickleball membership can be purchased. You can visit the city website for that information. And then just a reminder for walkers and runners, the track inside the Maple Grove Dome is open for a number of hours during the week for walking and running. Just check the website. Hours can vary depending on the sports schedules in the building.
All right. Here's that other event that's happening on February 1st, and it is the 18th year of this event. It is the Polar Plunge. Remind us again, what is the plunge and who does it benefit?
Yeah, so this is for Special Olympics Minnesota. This is Saturday, February 1st out at Fish Lake Regional Park. This is our police department leads this effort here in Maple Grove, and a number of our police officers participate in this. It's a great day out on Fish Lake, and again, supports Special Olympics Minnesota. Ian Leonard, of course, with Fox 9 is always out there jumping with everybody, and we get quite a crew out there. So if you're interested, check that out. I think it starts around 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning out on Fish Lake. Another great way to kick off your day on Saturday, February 1st.
Exactly, right. Jump in the water. Why not? All right, final note to pass along, the Black History Month Film Festival, and this is coming up in the month of February. Tell us a little more about the whole reason for this and again some of the great films.
Yeah, so our Park and Rec team puts this together. They do show a movie every Tuesday at the Senior Center, which is located within the community center. The show starts at 5 p.m. and is followed by a group discussion. There's no fee or registration necessary. You just kind of come on your own. And so the movies that are being shown, Ballerina's Tale, Marshall, Respect, and The Banker. Ballerina's Tale is rated G, all the others are PG-13. So again, 5 p.m. every Tuesday here in February. Encourage people to get out and see these great movies.
Yeah, on the city's Facebook page and also website, great places to find out about those activities and much, much more. Heidi, thanks so much for the information. We made it. We got all that in a half hour here. Let's leave you with that next council meeting date and also the city website if you need more information. Next meeting, Monday, February 3rd, 7:30 at the Government Center, and the lower left there, maplegrovemn.gov. We pass along a lot of information, so if you want to find out more, head there. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the City of Maple Grove Report.